So we started Bonfy in 2024 because of three key reasons. One is AI risk. We believe, like a lot of people in the industry, that due to adoption of AI, it might be copilots, AI assistants, now AI agents, AGI in the future, the amount of risk related to data is going to grow exponentially. We're talking about information leakage, privacy issues, other compliance matters, a lot of different elements that can go wrong. So that was one reason. I think second reason, speaking about data exposure, it was very clear to us, though the data security industry is pretty well developed industry with solution for over 10, 15 years out there. They were never designed to deal with the AI risks that are growing, not in terms of the information systems or information channels that they cover, and not in terms of the efficacy or the accuracy of those solutions, both in terms of false positives, so the level of noise they create for security team, the level of friction for end users that the email might be stopped along the way, and in terms of the blind spots or false negatives. In other words, the inability to detect a lot of those emerging risks that maybe existed before Gen AI started to take off, but now are growing exponentially. So that was the second reason. But third, that's not enough maybe to start a startup. The third reason was that we had the aha moment of actually realizing how all of those problems can be solved. And the story is actually about business context. What we believe that the missing element in those solutions is not necessarily kind of like, let's take the every email or web content or agent communication, go and push it to an LLM that will be maybe smarter in classifying the content. But it was more about providing context for this engine that understand content and risk and deal with data exposure that comes from the organization that we are serving. And what's the context? Information about people, customers, contacts, the relationship, metadata. It can come from external source like CRM, internal source like identity management. And the idea was that if we can actually take this type of context and apply to those data security processes and control, think about data loss prevention, data classification, inside the risk management signals on the data layer, and data discovery, then actually we can solve a lot of those issues, both address these emerging AI risks, address the deficiencies of data security controls, and provide a solution which is significantly more accurate for the modern world of the AI era. And that's why we started the Bonfy. What happened since is a lot, right? We raised money, we built a great team. All of us are located in the Silicon Valley. We build a platform, an AI data security platform that takes those initial concepts of how to obtain context and provide entity awareness for data security, for AI flows, as a long way, and also addressing some of the more traditional flows with the same engine, and provide a platform that can work at scale for enterprises in a lot of different verticals. And that's what we did. So we developed the core technology with a patent on it. We are now scaling not just the product, but scaling our customer base, and started recently kind of the second chapter of the company life, which is building our brand and building our presence in the market. In my discussions with many chief information security officers around the country, it's clear that there are quite many common challenges that they see. I think the first one is that the organization they are working for is adopting AI in a lot of different ways, way faster than their security controls, security teams, and processes can actually handle that. So that creates a big gap and a big pressure to act, while organizations don't necessarily have, as I said earlier, right, the tools, the experience, the talent in place to address. So that's one issue. But I see a lot of other, let's call it more technical issues. There's always saying the security space, right? If you don't have the visibility, you don't know actually what you need to protect. So the issue that there's very limited visibility in a lot of different levels. There's limited visibility to where AI is actually used, AI in the general sense. It can be the shadow AI, right? Things that should not be there. Do we have them or not? It can be what they call shady AI, AI which is sanctioned, but maybe the use of that is not the intended use by the organization. It can be AI which is built by the organization. Think about AI agents or custom apps that are leveraging some LLMs, or it can be software enabled services like Microsoft Copilot and others that are using LLMs and AI techniques to deliver the services to their customers. So a lot of different manifestations of AI in the organization. Tough to put the arms around all of them. So that's one issue, but it's not ending there. A, AI by itself is not necessarily the exposure. The exposure is the access to data, the manipulation of data, acting on behalf of people with AI agents, and maybe sending data to the wrong party or the wrong MCP server or whatever it might be. So without visibility for data, without the ability to understand what it is, without the ability to manage it or its life cycle, both in data in motion, data at rest, and actually data in use, which becomes a bigger and bigger topic, it's almost impossible to manage the risk of the organization. What we bring to the table at Bonfy is the ability to address all of that with one platform. Historically, what happened in the data security space, not only there was coverage issues and efficacy issues, but in order to protect the organization need to buy 3, 4, 5, 6 different tools, each one of them with its own management interface, some of them with their own deficiencies, without a lot of consistency across the board. The world now is much more complicated than that. We provide a platform that actually can address all of those information channels, information systems, both for data in motion, data at rest, and data in use with the same brain, the same context, the same entity awareness. And the benefits are huge. They are huge because now organizations, the security teams can rely on one system that can be applied everywhere. So a lot of the total cost of ownership benefits. And the solution is significantly more sophisticated in the ability to use context, which means, again, less false positives, less false negatives, less load, less friction, less blind spot. So a lot of things which are less and a lot of benefits with that, and to apply to all of those channels. And it's designed in a way which can be very easily deployed, integrated, adopted, used, and operated. It can take from 0 to 100, can take a couple of days. So it provides a lot of benefit. Another thing which is super important, many organizations, when they ask us at Bonfy, okay, but maybe I'm not ready for that. I did not discover my data. I don't have a full AI governance strategy. I need to see, first of all, what kind of agent framework is being selected. Our response is actually, it's all true, but with a multi-channel architecture that can actually address very specific, let's call it even a tactical need now, and actually grow with you with the same platform, same policies, same context. Actually, we can be your companion to your journey in AI adoption, regardless if you are just going to start it soon, you're already deep into it and try to catch up, or anywhere in between. What's emerging in many of my recent discussions with the CISOs, CIOs, CTOs, is obviously the adoption of AI agents. On one end, that create a great opportunity for automation in many organizations, regardless if they are internal processes, customer-facing processes, embedded in products and technologies, but also it creates a significantly bigger exposure than, I would say, all of the previous generation, which is still emerging, of AI technologies. And why is that? Because basically we are letting some other entity to make decisions, to connect to other systems, to produce stuff in a very, very autonomous ways. And that creates a new type of exposures that organizations were not used to before. So if, let's say, in the early days of adopting LLMs, let's say ChatGPT, Gemini, and others, Claude and others, the risk, and for a very good reason, was focused about confidentiality. What kind of things can be leaked into those systems? What will happen with the prompt data and maybe some other data that we uploaded? Very legit risk, happens every day, and actually happens now more than ever. Then I think came the realization, it's just not just about that. LLMs can be wrong, right? We all call it hallucination, but from a cybersecurity perspective, basically we're talking about integrity exposure, not just confidentiality, where we think that we have a system that produces facts maybe write them nicely, as LLM know how to do, but produce facts. And everything they do is correct, but it's not always the case due to hallucination, human input, malicious prompting, different reasons like that. So now we had the integrity issue. Now, with the adoption of AI agents, we finally go to the availability issue. So not only agents in their autonomous operation can expose us to even bigger set of confidentiality risk, integrity risk, but also availability risk of misusing a service, maybe being abused by some malicious actors. So a lot of things can go wrong. So let's call it the exposure is now three-dimensional. It's tougher to control. Dealing with the data input upstream risk and downstream risk, which are super important, both in data in motion, think about email, web traffic, agents communication, and others, and data at rest, which typically looks at files, data stores, and the like. Critical, not easy. There are no great solutions for that, but now we need to deal with data in use, right? The agents have reasoning loops that are using some MCP servers, external systems, internal data sources, and others, and scramble all of that together with some action items, information they generate, systems they operate, etc. So the exposure is now significantly bigger than before. And part of what we are doing now at Bonfy is addressing all those three dimensions of risk: confidentiality, integrity, and availability of those AI agents and AI workflows by providing a solution that looks at the entire data lifecycle when it gets to AI flows and systems, when it gets out, but also for data in use during the reasoning loops and the operations of those AI agents. It's very clear to me in all of my discussions that there's a huge confusion in the market. Every cybersecurity vendor claims they have solution for AI security. It might be access control, identity management, security posture management, encryption, whatever it might be. But the reality, the biggest risk associated with AI is not about any of that. It's about data, right? That's the intellectual property of the organization. This information belongs to consumers, right? For privacy reasons, or to your customer base. Data is the essence. Data is the intellectual property, and data is the risk. And therefore, what we do at Bonfy, not take anything from some other directions and other complementary tools, is to focus on developing the best and the most effective AI data security platform that actually can address those data risk throughout the life cycle, upstream, downstream, data in use, for all of those channels, both the new channels, the traditional channels, all of them need to be protected with the same platform, same context, with the right level of efficacy. And that's what we're doing.